Hey guys, Corey again. Today I'm taking a look at some more stuff from the Imagine AI Live. And this is a talk done by Prerak Garg. And I'm sure I mispronounced that, but he is a guy from Microsoft. He's a director of some new initiatives and AI at Microsoft. So he is talking about generative AI and the future of work, and he does a healthcare study. But we'll just talk about the first part of it here as I step into specifically the rate that various things have been adopted and how it is impacting the GDP. So basically, the argument is that agriculture in the early years and moving forward, we are getting a faster and faster impact of basically technology impacting the gross domestic product, and that would, I assume, we're talking about the U.S. here. Anyhow, just taking a look at it, and he'll kind of walk you through this. But we got a 0.4x over here. The 1,000 to 1,500 years is pretty darn slow comparatively. Now we're 1x, so basically 1x is our I kind of like to call it a null hypothesis, but it's not. It is a standard, or just our standard. So this is 4/10 that speed. This is 1x in the 1,500 to 1,700 range is all 1x. So 1x slope. Then we go to 2x, 4x, and we are at 20x between 1900 and today, and we are going to be even faster on this next one. So what's this next piece look like? That's kind of what he's talking about. So take a look here and let him walk through this thing.
So if you look at the history of GDP growth, it's deeply correlated with the pace of innovation. For thousands of years, the GDP growth was very slow. It was primarily because most of the humanity was focused on agriculture. And we started seeing a major uptick with the Industrial Revolution and with the advent of innovations like steam engine, and then the internal combustion engine, invention of electricity, and most recently the information revolution. Now we are at the brink of another major revolution, which will be driven by AI, and it'll turbocharge GDP and productivity by a great extent.
So this is really changing the rate of impact to the GDP, the growth rate of the GDP, and that is the information revolution, which, I mean, it's I don't know, what's that, maybe 1940-ish, maybe somewhere in there, something like that, 1950, I don't know, somewhere along those lines. And look at this, look how steep this is. This thing's just going straight up. It's absolutely insane, and that's why it's so hard for us to keep up with things these days, because it is changing so fast compared to what it used to change, the rate that it used to change back in the days. This is just stuff is even for this presentation, they were talking about, like, we were going to make a slide deck on this last week or last month, but we weren't sure what it was going to be, what the current state was going to be. It was changing so fast that we were afraid to make a slide deck. So anyhow, again, this is Imagine AI Live 2024. A couple weeks ago, I attended, and this is one of the speakers. Continue on.
So if you think about it, like, we are in the still very early stages of this revolution. You can say this is pretty much the light bulb movement, to draw an analogy from the invention of electricity. So when Thomas Edison created light bulb, it did not lead to the product.
So this is the proof of concept phase, so to speak, and he's arguing basically that generative AI in general is in this light bulb phase right here. And it just kind of it's just a phase of kind of like getting used to it. Then it drops into electricity generation and transmission. And from there, you really start taking off as you find new applications for it in the adoption phase.
Improvements that we saw subsequently. It was the hard yards put in by the later generation of innovators who created the washing machines, the vacuum cleaners, computers, eventually, that led to the productivity growth that we saw subsequently. And it is the same case with AI. We are in the very early stages. With ChatGPT, we have pretty much the light bulb movement of AI. And now comes the hard.
So if ChatGPT is the light bulb moment of this, we're into distributing Air, the conversational voice AI. We are very quickly, of course, this is like a lot faster phase in here, but we're quickly coming up with additional applications for ChatGPT concepts, large language models, those kinds of things, generative AI, and applying more technologies on top of it, which is what's going on here. This isn't just the light bulb and the electricity generation and transmission, but rather, all kinds of different technologies stacked on top of this thing. Especially you get into computers, you get into, radio, microwave, some of the electronics, television, now even electric vehicles you see here. And then, just massive number of changes. But you think about those changes that brought these things on, we're facing even greater ones, greater rates than that. With Air.ai, I can imagine a world that you just don't have anyone really calling people on the phone until it's time to, just really even to make the deal or close a deal in the end. And it may not even be that. You just won't be doing that boring work necessarily anymore. So anyhow, let's continue on, see what it has to say.
Part of thinking about the second order, third order applications of AI, which may not be so obvious at this point, but this is where the opportunity is for all of us. And we need to move really fast because the pace of innovation has been accelerating. As you can see, it took almost 60 years for landline phones to achieve 80% penetration. And it took just 10 years for social media to achieve the same penetration. And with ChatGPT, you all know about it. It has broken all records. And it has become the fastest growing application that we have ever known. ChatGPT, you all know about it. It has broken all records. And it has become the fastest growing application that we have ever known. It has the same penetration. And with ChatGPT.
So I wanted to kind of look at this. Years elapsed down here. This is like 60 years for the car, the landline, the stove, going from kind of even, and I don't even know what they're saying exactly, 1920 to 52, probably an electric stove of some kind, but they still used the, internal in the house, a stove, even a wood stove in some of these years, would have been reasonable. But for sure, the electric stove in somewhere in the 50s, I would say. The adopting of this technology took, before it was like, I guess, at 80%. Right here, what is that? 30 years, maybe, something like that for the stove. PC was even faster. Refrigerator, of course, that was a really good, really cool technology. Yeah, I mean, just in, 14, 15 years, you had, what is that? Yeah, something like that, 18 years. Yeah, and refrigerator and internet, even faster, which is crazy when you think about how slow it was to adopt the internet. I remember doing things like, oh yeah, I've got email. And people are like, what's email? That sounds really weird. You're just making words up. They were a little slow to adopt, but really at the same time as the internet, you kind of had to get computers in everybody's houses. So that was, that was really what was also going on, was people were getting computers. And then, for something like social media to be that fast, this fast of an adoption, it first started out on computers, but it quickly transitioned. I remember first time I got something like Facebook up on a phone, and I was like, is this really, am I able to do what you can do on Facebook? Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's just amazing. So look at the rate though. I mean, we're talking social media. That's only 9 years right there. So very, very quick. All this stuff is going faster and faster. The rate of adoption, that slope is just coming just straight up. What's it going to be? What's it going to be in the next couple of things? You're just running out of slope. It's just going to be a straight line. It's going to be impulse.
You all know about it. It has broken all records, and it has become the fastest growing application that we have ever known. It achieved 100 million users in less than 2 months.
Look at that. Look at that slope. This is like, okay, 2022, November of 2022, they released, they released ChatGPT to the public. And I had been using GPT or an AI for my VA for a couple, 18 months, probably about 18 months prior to that. And it turns out it was actually ChatGPT under the hood. So some piece of software that, did API calls to ChatGPT. But look at this, 100 million users in this short period of time. Once again, implementing AI in your business is not urgent if failure is okay. And we are distributing conversational voice AI, and it is absolutely burning up over the nation. And this is just in the U.S. There are other languages in other countries to also adopt this, and it is just growing like wildfire. And it's going to be fast. It's going to be fast. So you do not want to be left behind. You do not want to, take a longer curve approach like this. And some of these other things, you see the slope. The slope is just increasing and increasing on these things. If you know anything about math, man, it's just going to be, you're running out of room here. You're talking about just a vertical line, literally like an impulse. Look at how fast that is. Compare that to cloud adoption. How fast this thing got to 1 million users in 2 months.
And you all might be wondering why we are talking about AI, because it has been around us for quite some time. What is different this time? So if you think about traditional AI, we used to have one single narrow model for a specific task. So you have a model for summarization, then you have a model for translation, you have a model for data analysis, and so on. Now, what is different is you have foundational models which have cross-domain applicability. So these models are good at a range of tasks, whether it is sentiment analysis, writing poetry, history, you name it, right? And it's also visible in the data. So for example, GPT-3 is really good at a range of tasks, right? Whether it is history and sociology and so on. And with every generation of model, the performance is going up. GPT-4 is much better than GPT 3.5, and we have to see where we will be with GPT-5, which is coming soon. So
anyway, I'm going to stop there. I've already covered this one a little bit. We'll go back over this another time, maybe next video. I just want to point out some things here. You look at the performance of GPT-4 over GPT-3, and kind of in various products, you can see the performance of the underlying technology really is ramping rapidly in what it can, how well it can, produce results, how well it can be an aid to humans working on it, how we're, working with it, just how well it performs in general, the speed
right,
that these things,
and,
that they're changing.
And with every generation of...
Yeah, and I think this is the same bottom row here of functions. You just look at it's just way the heck up here, and I believe this is the average human performance line kind of thing, and you look at it, it's just way up here. Unbelievable amounts of improvement. So anyhow, like we keep saying with the Air product, it is the worst it's ever going to be. It just keeps getting better. In fact, we now have Air 2.0. Just talked to them today. We've got 2.1 kind of builder coming, I think. I'm calling it 2.1. I think we kind of called it that on the tech call today. Lots of changes. It's rapidly changing these things. It's almost like you make a video and it's outdated. Anyhow, thanks for watching.